Yes, indeed. Welcome back. My name is Ivan Vixamar. Most people just call me Vix. And I want to say thank you for tapping into my podcast called The Lunch Table with Vix. Now, my why behind this podcast is very simple. I wanted to create a platform that would bring people to the table, have real conversations, and impact the masses. And today, I got another fire episode for y'all. I got my guy, Shane. He on the podcast with me today, taking a seat at the lunch table. So, quick story with my boy Shane. So, Shane and I went to the same college together, Concordia University, and Shane was a quarterback. I played defense. And the first ever time I met Shane gonna have a good laugh about this because I tell him this story all the time. And it low key, it slightly changes every time I tell it. But the first time I see Shane, he's a transfer and I don't know nothing about him. I just hear, yo, we're getting this quarterback from Cali. So I'm like, all right, cool, cool, cool. I see him throw the ball and stuff. I'm like, okay, he pretty nice. And it was like the first day of pads, I want to say. And I'm lined up at defensive end. I'm on the right side. And so I'm coming off the ball. And I think, I don't even know who was trying to block me, but keyword tried because they didn't block me. Got off the line and I'm chasing, about to try to sack Shane. Obviously, it's practice. You're not allowed to tackle the quarterback. So, like, just, tag him. Shane does like this weird, like, little spin move and, like, gets out the pocket. And I'm like, there's no way this dude is faster than me. So I still come at like a really hard angle because I'm like, he's not going to outrun me. But low key, he kind of got some wheels. So he kind of beats me to the outside. And I couldn't lose contain. If you know football, you know defensive end, you have contain. So I just reach out and I'm reaching for anything to knock the football out, to grab his jersey, to just grab his leg. Like I'm just reaching out. And I reach out and I grab a handful of balls. And it wasn't, like you nut check somebody. It wasn't those situation. It was like handful of dick and balls. And I just reached out, I grabbed and I just yanked. And he, of course, dramatically falls down and I could care less. And I just keep it pushing. Later that day, we go to the cafeteria and I'm like, yo, what's up? I'm Ivan. And he's like, yo, you grabbed my balls today. Like you hit me in the nuts. You hit me in the nuts. And I remember just like looking at him like, nah, that wasn't me, yo. Like I don't know what you talking about. Like try to like sweep it under the rug type of vibe. But it was definitely me. There was no one else that could have possibly did it. Became my best friend after that. We're I would say we're pretty much brothers, man. We've taken trips together. We done had ups together. We've had some downs together. But we really developed a really dope friendship where we're just able to kind of talk about anything. And if this podcast goes based on anything of our friendship, is going to be all over the place. And I kind of like that. I think it's really cool when you can have someone that you're able to talk to and it's not a stiff conversation. You're able to just be yourself and kind of just talk about anything. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my boy Shane. Shane, introduce yourself to the people. Say what's up. Go ahead, my guy.
Hey, that story does change every time, though.
Every time.
All right, what's going on, everybody? My name is Shane Virnala. I'm a 26-year-old dude living out here in California. And yeah, man, I'm just trying to figure out life just like how everybody else is. I graduated from Concordia University of Chicago with Ivan about 3 years ago. That's a trip to say that I graduated college 3 years ago. But yeah, since then, I've been on this pursuit to really, really try to figure myself out and try to figure what makes me tick and what makes me go. And since then, I've kind of realized that I've lived two separate lives. The first one being the student athlete life, the first one being the Shane that played football, and the second one being the day I graduated and I no longer was a student athlete no more.
So, my dog Shane is on the podcast today, taking a seat with us. And fun fact about Shane actually develops quarterbacks. He played quarterback in college, and now he's on this mission of just coaching and just passing down the knowledge and information that he's gathered and learned and teaching it to, the younger generation, which I think is really dope. And Shane actually is starting up a brand and a business. And so I actually want to give him opportunity to kind of speak?
So yeah, I train quarterbacks. I train and develop quarterbacks from 8 years old all the way probably 20, 21 years old, and I say that very lightly. I've been doing this ever since COVID started, and we were all kind of like put into this little quarantine situation. So I've really only been doing this for less than a year, but I have so much confidence in my abilities and the way I speak and communicate with these kids because of my past experiences playing. I played the game for about 17 years. I started super young, probably at like 6 years old, played all the way through middle school, through high school, all 4 years. And then after high school, I wanted to continue playing football and get my education. So I decided to go the junior college route. I played there for 3 years and kind of got stuck in a situation over there, 2.5 years. And then I transferred to Concordia University of Chicago and finished out my career playing my last 3 years there. So all in all, that accumulates up to 17 years of playing. So I got a bunch of experiences. I got a bunch of lows. I got very few highs. And so, yeah, I feel like I have a lot of information and valuable experiences that I can share with the kids from my community to help them use football as the vehicle to take them to the next part of their life.
So go ahead and shout out your page because it's dope. I mean, he puts out a lot of cool content and videos and stuff like that. So go ahead and shout your page out, man.
Yeah, so you guys can go ahead and follow me on Instagram at coach_Shane V. And then my own personal Instagram account is Shane_V12NALA. And I wanted to keep it separate just because this coaching page that I have, I really, really, really want to showcase what we do when we're at our training sessions, what we talk about, the kids that I work with. I didn't want to oversaturate my personal page.
Ladies, he separated it because he's single. I'm gonna keep it real deal Holyfield. He's single, he ready to mingle, and he trying to play this, oh, coaching y'all. Look, ladies, holla at him, hit him up in the DM. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it at that. But I do want to pose a question to you because while you were talking, it kind of sparked something in my spirit. So, being a player, right? I know you have those moments where you're looking at a kid play and you're like, oh my gosh, just do this, do that. Like during the game, because you've probably made the plays that you're trying to get this player to make. So, how is it being a coach now where like you affect the game, but in a different way?
Yeah, no, so that's an awesome question. I really remember being a player and then like my senior year like at Concordia and like looking around to like my younger quarterbacks and really coaching them up throughout the year and like I felt like I was doing a really good job of getting them prepared to like kind of take the reins like after I leave. And as I was kind of going through that, I was like, damn man, like I should be a coach. Like I could get into this. Like the way I talk to these guys are picking up way faster than when our OC is talking to these guys. So maybe I should give this a try. Fast forward to my first year of coaching and kind of being on the sidelines and having that role. Man, it was a lot different. Like you got to work on the way you articulate things and the way you communicate things because in your head you have this vision of what it should look like and how it should be, but when you try to speak that, it doesn't really like flow. So just as much as like I was a player working on my craft, working on my drops and moving side to side in the pocket and throwing really good balls, I have to be a good coach and I have to have the same work ethic and think about what I'm going to tell these kids before I potentially will say it and think about the words that I am going to use because it's very easy to just cover something and a kid kind of gets lost in translation and you see their look on their eyes, they kind of like look away and then you lost them. And I hate doing that. I hate seeing like a kid kind of making eye contact with me and then he looks away and in that moment I know, damn, I said something and like his attention's going out there and now he's just like, yes sir, yes sir. So that's like the first big difference between like being a player and like coaching within my very short like coaching life. Um, and when I'm on the sidelines during a game, it's even more different. As a player, I got pretty jacked up. I got pretty excited before games, and I would have to like calm myself before these games because I was the quarterback. I was the one that had needed to go out there and perform and execute. And when all this chaos is going on, I'm going to have my teammates look at me, and I'm supposed to be kind of like that still person that they could all come to. And so that's what I try to do as a player. I wasn't very successful with it. I had my moments that I would kind of get chaotic too, and I would get super excited, but I really tried to minimize that because I knew the role I had. And now being a coach, man, I get fired up. And I feel like I still have to be that still guy. I still have to be that dude that everybody like comes to. But to be honest, the pressure and the stress of having to go out there and perform being lifted off my shoulders, I felt like that in a way has like allowed me to still keep that same fire but be still within that fire.
Yeah, I think that was a great analogy with the fire, because I feel like when you're a player and you see your coach getting amped up, it naturally just fires you up, and it makes you turn it up even more and just get more into the game. But at the same time, you don't want your coach to kind of be out of control with it, where it's just now you're looking at it like, yo, you doing way too much. So I think it's kind of like that balance of, like you said, being able to be collected enough where the player can come to you and you can say, hey, do this better, do that better. But at the same time, like, be able to fire up your team so that they'll literally run through a wall for you. So I think it's kind of a healthy balance with both. And I think players really they click well with those coaches that are able to do both.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And like I said, like I'm a very young coach. I only have one year of full experience of being on the sidelines and strategizing for a game and then going to war with these guys.
So speaking of flags and coaching and playing, I want to step into what recently just happened. At the time of this recording, it's very recent. Cam Newton, if you don't know, Cam Newton is a professional football player, and he's right now in a spot where he can potentially get re-signed, or he can get signed by any other team. He's a free agent. I'll use the term. He's a free agent right now, and he was at this camp. I don't know if it was his camp or just a 7-on-7 tournament or whatever it was, but a player was just started calling him out, calling him trash, calling him this and that. And I just want to get your opinion on it, because the internet was kind of having at it, and whatever their opinions were. And I'm very interested, you being a quarterback and then you being a coach. So you've coached plenty of 7-on-7s. You know that culture very well. The kid called out Cam. He used some explicit words and just really tried Cam's manhood at the lowest level. He just came at him as a man, and I just want to see like your perspective on it.
You asked. You're a free agent. You're a free agent. I'm rich. You're a free agent. You about to be poor. I'm rich. You about to be poor. I'm rich. You about to be poor. I'm rich. You're a free agent. I'm rich. Nah, ain't no disrespect. You know, if you wanted some attention, I'm gonna give you some attention. The right way, bro. The right way. When do you?
Yeah, man. To be honest with you, when I first saw that video, I just felt bad for everybody in that situation. I felt bad for the kid for putting himself out there like that, and then I felt bad for Cam just kind of being in a situation like that. Man, I don't know what I would have done in either positions. But to be honest, after I kind of like got over feeling bad, I was disgusted, man. I was really disgusted. Like football has been such a good thing in my life, and football has been such a good vehicle to like take me to my next place in my life and meet new friends and become family members with these guys. And I felt like that really shined a bad light on the game of football. And so in my head, this is a very like one-sided point of view, but I graduated high school in 2012. And I really, when I was in high school, I only went to 2 7-on-7 competitions a year. Nowadays, kids are going to 7-on-7 competitions every weekend. So it was something that I was kind of like removed from. And then after graduating college and getting into coaching, now I enter kind of back into this world. and I'm in the 7-on-7 world, and now I'm coaching for a team and I'm coordinating for a team, and I'm going to these tournaments and we're scrimmaging these teams. And yeah, don't get me wrong, it's fun. It's fun throwing the football and having a good time and hootering and hollering, but it definitely is not football. 7-on-7 is a tool to get better at football. And the way 7-on-7 is at these tournaments, I know like content may make these things look super cool, which they are super cool. They're super fun. We live in a capitalistic world. We don't have football in the off season. We want even more football in the off season. Let's find a way to make some money, and let's find a way to like influence more games and all that stuff. So I understand that there's a time and there's a place for it. But I feel like we have made 7-on-7 this big event when in actuality, it's a 15-minute period in practice. And people put so much weight into these 7-on-7s and what they kind of mean. And I guess what I'm trying to say is what makes me disgusted about this is that every play on offense, a guy catches a ball, he gets up, he's posturing his chest, and he's chirping. Every play that a defensive player breaks up a pass, he gets up, posturing and chirping. And I'm not talking about like 2 or 3 times a game. I'm literally talking every play of these 25-minute 7-on-7 matchups. It's all posturing and chirping. You take that to a football field, there's not very much posturing and chirping. There's probably like 2, 3 times a game because now you actually have pads on and you guys could do something about it. So kind of taking this back to this situation with Cam Newton and this kid, like I feel bad that there was even like a situation that arose from that because that's the whole culture. The way the kid was talking to Cam Newton, like that is the culture of 7-on-7 football. Just be as loud and obnoxious as possible and get the cameras on me and get even loud and more obnoxious, and hopefully I go viral. So I know that's a very one-sided way of looking at it, but after my 1 year of like coaching in it and the 15 tournaments that I've been to and all the practices that I've been to, it doesn't really change. It's the same. And that's not football. Football has a level of integrity to it. Football has a level of character to it. And I feel like 7-on-7 football does not.
Yeah, you made some great points. I always love the way you're able to kind of break down stuff and make it understandable, and that must be the coach in you. But my opinion on it real quick, I saw it and I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was funny. Initially I saw it and I laughed and I was like, yo, this is hilarious because the kid was saying some stuff that was like it was out of bounds, but he was saying some stuff that was like it's kind of true. And it's like one of those things where it's like, dang, like he kind of right about something, but it's just like it's a time and place, like you said. Um, and then watching it a couple other times.
I think with a different environment, the respect level is so much higher. And like the way you talk to somebody, like say that was like on the street. Say that was away from like cameras. Like say that was away from like all these people. Like people do not talk to people like that.
100%, 100%. And I think again, what you said was correct because it's the environment and the culture. Now, granted, I think it's becoming a big deal because it is Cam Newton. But let's say that was the opposing quarterback for another team. We wouldn't even be talking about this. So I just think the reason why it blew up was because it was Cam. So I'm initially when I saw the video, I thought it was funny because he came at Cam, and I'm thinking like your average person isn't gonna say that stuff to Cam Newton, but he was in an environment where he could say it and he felt confident enough to speak on it and say it and not feel like any repercussions will come from it. So in that aspect to me, it was funny because I think he truly said what he felt and spoke his heart. And I know the kid issued an apology and a statement and stuff like that. and I'm not saying he doesn't mean it, but I think he said what he meant on the field, and I think Cam handled it very well. The thing I will say that disappointed me was that kid just burnt the bridge. And it's just like, man, you're a high school inspiring player to try to make it to where Cam has been. The last thing you should do is burn a bridge that will give you an opportunity down the line. Like, not every kid gets to say that they talked to Cam Newton, that they got to train with him, or whatever the case may have been. So if I'm that kid, instead of talking down on Cam Newton, I'm trying to pick his brain and try to get every ounce of information and knowledge I can from him. And then at the same time, trying to form a connection with him, which we're all young in the terms of we make mistakes, and even when you get older, you make mistakes and things happen. So hopefully the kid can bounce back from it. I know Cam, he has a lot more on his plate than some little kid speaking to him kind of disrespectfully. I'm sure he's gotten way worse. But speaking of the 7-on-7 culture, when we're recording this, it's still Black History Month. So I love to kind of highlight, especially when I'm talking to someone that isn't Black, I kind of want to get their opinion on just the Black culture, and either growing up, how their upbringing was, but specifically with you, I want to talk about you working in an industry that's predominantly Black. Like, the players you're coaching are predominantly going to be African American. So I guess the first thing I want to kind of approach is how how do you feel working in a, I guess, a industry where the kids that you're coaching don't come from the same place that you're coming from. They don't look like you, they don't talk like you. How do you gain their respect, and kind of how do you coach them? Like, how do you relate to them? How do you make them trust you? What is like that dynamic like?
Yeah, no, that's a super interesting question, man. I like that you asked that. I mean, I think the way I kind of grew up kind of gave me the experiences to have these relationships with these players, and not just like transactional relationships, have like actually a relationship of substance. Um, when I was growing up, I went to a Catholic school, and me and my brother were one of the few white kids at that school. I grew up with a lot of Mexican and a lot of Asian kids. I moved on to high school and the same kind of thing. A lot of Mexican, a lot of Asian kids, very few black, very few Polynesian, very few white. And then I move on to college, and then it's kind of the opposite of that. Now I'm hanging around 80 black dudes every day. We're spending 7 to 8 hours a day together. We're literally showering together. And so if there's some sort of issue, that's not going to last very long in these type of environments. I feel like that kind of history of like my life set me up to be in this coaching role and look at everybody like as people. Like, I'm a white dude myself, but to be honest, like shoot, like I come into contact with way more black dudes and Mexican dudes and Asian dudes on a daily basis. I think my experience going through college and like making really good friends with the friends that I did have, and having awesome experiences outside of the football field, I guess gave me that experience and the confidence to do that. I guess the best way to like go about developing these players is by having extremely good relationships with them. So I guess having a deeper understanding of who that athlete is, and not just who that football player is, having an understanding of like where these kids like come from, like who's in their family, what type of things do they go through on a daily basis. Like when these kids like show up to come work out, like it's not like, all right, you see the workout on the board, like let's do it. Like the first time I see these kids every day, like I dab them up and then I ask them how their day was, or if it's a Monday, I ask them how their weekend was, and we have a conversation. And I don't just ask that just like quickly and just cover it. Like we go into conversation. Oh, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, I took a trip to go see my family in Arizona. And like I really kind of like dive into that conversation to let them know that like, yo, hey man, like I'm a person. Like, yeah, I may be your coach, and yeah, I'm instructing you to do this and run really hard and use a lot of effort. But at the same time, like I'm just another human being. And
Yeah, I definitely agree. Another thing I kind of wanted to pick your head about was just being a coach. I think you have to be very ambitious, and whether it's like through football, like being ambitious as far as trying to move up, because at the higher levels, college, NFL, you don't just get thrown those positions. It's kind of like a rapper. You get it out the mud. Like as my boy Wes would say, you start in the gully. So you start with the intern position and you kind of have to build yourself up, whether it's build up your resume, build up like your connections, whatever you have to do, you have to put in that work and you have to be ambitious to climb that ladder. And I think ambition is something that translates even past sports. But I think what kind of gets misconstrued in our generation specifically is a healthy ambition. And I want to get your opinion on, for you, what do you think were things that helped you as far as being ambitious? And what are some things that you think kind of hurt you in your ambition? And maybe things that you were so ambitious that you kind of skipped over some steps, or you kind of didn't live in the present because you're just so focused on the next thing and moving up. Because I think that that is a problem with people who are just overly ambitious, and it's not a healthy ambition.
yeah, that's super interesting what you just said. To be honest, this is the first time I've ever heard that term or that phrase, healthy ambition. To be honest, everything before that has just been ambitious or ambition, and it's about shooting for the stars and dreaming and stuff like that. But now you're kind of really making me think. Honestly, bro, I'm super one-sided. I'm not healthy ambitious. Like I'm too ambitious, and it's hurt me. Like it's hurt me like while I was young because emotionally it hurt me, and I guess now in like my adult life it's hurting some sort of like aspect of it. But I'm like way too ambitious. Like when I got hurt the first time, like I kept playing football and like I didn't stop. And to be honest, like that wasn't the best for my mental state. Like yes, I wanted it so badly. I just wanted to play on the field. Like I wanted to throw first downs, score touchdowns, and all that. But that took away 5 years of my life, and I definitely think that adversity was like necessary for me. Um, but looking back on it, I don't know if I would consider that like a healthy ambition. I'm very extremely ambitious. That like if you're looking in the football world, like the NFL is like the peak of it, the top of it. Like so in my world that I live in this football world, like I want the top of it. And to be honest, like I'm sacrificing a lot of things in the social aspect or financial aspect or um any other aspect there may be. I know that I'm kind of like low on those attributes.
Yeah, I think for me, and I think it's something that everyone struggles with or deal with. And I'm like you, I never really heard of healthy ambition until recently. I heard a pastor talk about it, talking about healthy ambition, and the way he took it was more from a stance of when you're ambitious and it's just self-seeking ambition, where you're trying to do things just so you can prove other people wrong, or you can be like self-absorbed. It's not a healthy ambition. But I kind of took it more so as just not living life as you in the best way possible. So like you said, you feel like what you went through in life definitely helped you, because I think adversity definitely builds character, and it's definitely something where it's kind of like the whole tea bag analogy. You don't know what type of flavor tea you have until you put it in the hot water, and I think that is a really great analogy, because that I feel like that's how it is in real life. Like you don't know what you're gonna get out of somebody until they get put in that situation. But at the same time, like something my girlfriend always tells me is like, Ivan, just be present. And I feel like when you're super ambitious, you're always so focused on the next thing. And I think that's unhealthy because I think being ambitious is great. Like, hey, I want to get to the NFL. Hey, I want to get this manager job. Hey, I want to own this house. Hey, I want to be a famous YouTuber, whatever that ambition may be. But I think it can become unhealthy when you're going through your life just so focused on the end goal that you're not enjoying the journey or most importantly learning throughout that journey, because throughout you being hurt and you trying to get back on the field, you were just focused on getting back on the field and you saw everything as an obstacle of getting you back on the field. But imagine if you would have taken the approach of saying, hey, what can I learn from this so that when I do get back on the field, I'll be a better player? And I think that's when you kind of start thinking a little bit deeper and you're just like, okay, I'm ambitious. I want to get back on the field, but now how can I do it differently? Because you got injured multiple times. And if people don't know your story, it's super good. Shane didn't just get hurt once. I want to say it was what, the ACL, the we'll go through all your injuries real quick for the people that don't know.
Yeah, so my whole life, like going through high school football and graduating high school, like I never got hurt once. And then throughout my junior college and college career, I tore my left knee ACL, MCL. I tore the Lisfranc ligament in my left foot. That's the ligament that connects all your bones together. I tore my PCL and meniscus in my right knee, and I separated both my shoulders.
So that will mess up anybody's mental state, right? Like anybody's gonna go through that many injuries, they're gonna have some type of mental PTSD from just rehabbing and going through all that trauma. Essentially, like that's trauma that you went through each and every time you got hurt.
Yeah, that PTSD stuff that you're talking about, like, is kind of real. And I don't want to say that, and like, I understand that people that have been in war and in situations, they have real PTSD. My PTSD was super small compared to that. But when I hurt the last significant injury I had was I tore my PCL meniscus in my right knee. And I remember like walking off that football field thinking that that was the last time I was walking off the football field. And then I remember going to a couple practices the next week, and I just remember being scared as hell watching you guys sprint. Like watching you guys sprint and cut was like the scariest thing for me because I was just waiting for everybody's knees to go. It was a couple games later, a couple weeks later, it was Concordia, Wisconsin, and I think we were playing at Wisconsin, and like I couldn't watch the game anymore. Like it was too tough for me to watch the game on the sidelines, watching you guys full on sprint, full on hit each other. Like every second, I was scared of that something was gonna happen.
Yeah. So I think I really wish we could just really, really get into this topic because we could talk about it for a really long time. But just to sum up kind of the point I'm trying to make with the whole ambition part, I truly believe that when you have unhealthy ambition, you're just focused on one thing, and that's just getting back on the field. And I feel like when you have a healthy ambition, now you're like, okay, my goal is to get back on the field, but now going through this journey, what can I pick up and learn so that when I get back on the field, I'm a better person and I'm able to enjoy the process more instead of just grind, get back on the field. But now you're like enjoying like the process and you're learning from the process. So now when you get back on the field, one, you have an appreciation because you understand the hard work that went into it. Two, you just have an all around more positive attitude because you're just like, I saw where I'm at and I saw where I was before. And then you just learn through everything. And I think if we take that mindset in life and apply it, it would create a more healthy ambition. And like you said, it's something that we all need to work on. It's not perfect for me, uh, and it's something that I need to work on. But like I said, I just wanted to kind of pick your brain on it, and I'm glad that you kind of didn't know about it. So now you can think about it and translate that to your coaching to your kids, and kind of put them on.
No, definitely. Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, I'll definitely take that healthy ambition, and even after this podcast, really think about it and sit on that and like kind of find what that means to like me.
Yeah. Man, I have so many crazy stories and funny stories to tell. So I definitely got to get you back on. And I know we talked a lot of football today, but I think we talked a lot of life. And even though we spoke from a sports perspective, I truly think life is very, I don't want to say a mirror of sports, but in a way it is, because you're working as a team. You're working with people that don't look like you. You're going through adversity. You have ups, you have downs. And if that don't sound like life, I mean, I don't know what does. It's just very comparable. But again, I want to thank everybody for tapping in, because I understand there's a lot of other things that y'all could be doing. There's Netflix, there's Hulu, there's other professional podcasts and stuff out there. So I want to, say thank you for sitting at the lunch table with me and my boy Shane. And I always like to leave people with a little something. So I got a verse for y'all today. It's from Proverbs 27:17. And I just knew it was going to fit what me and Shane were talking about. And the verse says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another." And I just think that verse is so practical, but it's so true. Like, we're really on this earth to make other people better. And I think when you have a good circle of people around you and you're able to bounce ideas off of them, or they're able to keep you accountable, they're just sharpening you and they're just making you better and better and better. And you're able to do the same for them. And I think Shane is gang affiliated. If y'all don't know, gang, 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 gang. Shane is a part of the Strawberry DAC. And I think we do a pretty good job. I wouldn't say a great job, but I think we do a really good job of trying to just sharpen each other. And we definitely want to see each other succeed. I got to thank him too. I didn't pay Shane to come on here. He came on here because he wanted to. And I appreciate Shane. And me and Shane are actually taking a trip with the Strawberry DAC boys. So maybe he'll post some things, maybe not. But you won't know until you follow him. So Shane, give out your social, let them know where they can follow you at. And females, again, he's single, talk nice.
All right, on Instagram, you can follow my coaching page at coach_Shane V. And on Twitter, I believe it is the same. So if you just go in that search tab, coach_Shane V. And to Ivan's point, my Instagram with my personal page is at Shane_V12 NALA. I'm just kidding though. I'm not really trying to mingle like that.
Hey, it is crazy because I'm gonna speak for him. Shane is very well spoken, but I'm gonna let you know right now, hit his line. He ready and he about all the action. Hey, but again, man, thank you for being on the podcast. I definitely got to get you back on here, man. I had a lot of fun. I always have a good time talking to you, and I always come out of it with a really good perspective on life, and I just feel more informed. So I appreciate you coming on, man. And for all y'all that took a seat with us at the lunch table, I appreciate y'all. And like always, more life, more blessings. And I know y'all heard that school bell. So y'all get us out of here and get back to class.
It's a shabba thing, ding-a-ling-a-ling, gold bell a ring, knife and fork a fine for dumpling. Booyaka, booyaka, for shabba ranking, shabba.